Hello, Culpeper Grizzlies. This is Dr. Carl Robinson, C-Rob to my friends, and I wanted to shoot about a 7 or 8 minute video welcoming you to English 111. I grew up in Madison County. I'm coming to you from my parents' backyard. My dad passed away 4 years ago, came home to take care of my mom. I was teaching in Texas. And then in July, my mom had a stroke. She's in the hospital right now. I'm not sure where she's going to be when our class starts, but I'm doing my best to be a caregiver. I'm starting to understand. A little bit of my bio. Again, I grew up in Madison County. I went to Woodbury Forest High School, wore a coat and tie every day. Was kind of preppy, but that's guess why I look like a wrestler now. I went to Randolph-Macon College in Ashland. I loved it, made a lot of good friends. Everybody was welcome at every party. It's a good place. I went to Virginia Tech for my master's, made some good friends there. A lot of hiking, bonfires, campfires out in the woods. And then I went to Kent State in Ohio for my PhD. My hair got longer. I did some stand-up comedy in Cleveland and Detroit. My dissertation was the language of ring sport, a cultural phenomena, and its literary forms. So who likes wrestling and why? Who likes boxing and why? Wrestling is theater. The fan who likes theater goes to wrestling. Boxing, UFC, maybe you knock someone out and someone gets killed. A different kind of fan likes that. So I've taught sport lit a couple times. But for English 111, I wanted to go over the course. It's room 225, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2 to 3:20 in Culpeper. I'm excited about teaching Culpeper. It's the closest campus to my house. I've never officially taught in Culpeper. It's usually Fredericksburg or the Wilderness. So I'm excited to teach my home people in Culpeper. The format of the class, we have 4 readings. It's OER, meaning you don't have to buy the textbook. They'll already be in Canvas. We'll spend roughly 3 weeks on each reading. The way I set up the curriculum, there's a homework assignment that's worth 100 points, a rough draft that's worth 100 points, then your essay, you'll write each one, I'll make comments, and you'll build on, revise, tweak what you already have. So homework, rough draft, paper, 4 times, and then there's a midterm and a final exam. That's Route 15 over there, over my shoulder. But there's a midterm and a final exam, essay questions that you'll have seen before. We'll do like study guides. So I don't think you'll think it's hard. I think it's pretty balanced overall. There's some movie days, like the 6 days. Maybe there'll be 3 or 4 days where I lecture, we'll talk. One day we'll work in groups, and then one movie day having to do with our reading. Our 4 readings, I think they're all meaty and interesting. I think you'll like them. The first is Richard Rodriguez, The Achievement of Desire. He was writing in the 1980s. He was Hispanic. He was on scholarship, and all he wants to do is be a professor. He's kind of ashamed of his parents. He's ashamed of his community, but he wakes up one morning, he has a PhD, he's going to be a professor, but he doesn't have any friends, he didn't have any fun. And part of the essay is, I learned this in Texas during COVID, because some people thought he had the right idea, but he woke up, he didn't have any friends, didn't have any fun, but then part of it is kind of deciding on your own what's important to you and having a plan. It's a little bit about how you plan your education, but how you manage your family and your friends and having a job. I think you'll like that. The second reading is Edward Said States. I've taught it off and on for 15 years. It's about the Middle East, but I don't want you to think I'm political at all. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I don't want you to be a Republican. I don't want you to be a Democrat. I did stand-up comedy too. It's a little bit like looking at the pictures and reading another culture. It could have been Puerto Rico. It could have been Sweden. It just so happens it's about Palestine. So I would call it picture theory, but we study maybe 60 pictures. There's a text too, but more emphasis on the photos than the text. And it's sort of like, he starts with a wedding. That's a good example because most cultures have a wedding. But we sort of compare and contrast what's a normal American wedding versus a Palestinian wedding. So no one's bad, no one's good. It's just sort of understanding what's normal for us in relation to what's normal to them. The third reading is Clifford Geertz's Deep Play Notes on the Balinese Cockfight. I used it in my dissertation. Ostensibly, it's about sports, but I don't want to think you have to pick your essay and write about sports. Clifford Geertz is 1960. He goes to Bali, an island in the Pacific, and he studies the culture through the cockfights. Comparable to someone's from Mars, someone's from France, comes to America for one day. They go to a Washington Commander football game, and they study our culture through the Washington Commanders. And maybe it's big guys that look like me drinking beer and yelling, but I think Clifford Geertz could have studied politics, he could have studied finance, but he chose a sport which ideally is fun. And we can talk about maybe sports is big business now. Maybe we can talk about cockfighting is awful, the Roosters die. But he reads that culture through sports. And when it gets time to write a paper, you could read like the Culpeper, you could read a mall, you could read your high school football rivalry, you could read the beauty shop. But it's really about reading your culture. And then the last essay is my favorite of the four, Walker Percy, Loss of the Creature. Walker Percy gives 50 examples. He never comes out and says, smoking cigarettes is bad, don't smoke cigarettes. It's not linear, but I think the message is live your life, have fun. His first big example, he talks about the first guy that discovered the Grand Canyon. And he wants to know, is there any way if you and your family went to the Grand Canyon, you could have as good a time as the guy who discovered it? And then his last example, you're walking on the beach, you find a seashell, it's really cool, you show it to your mom, you put it on the mantle, you're an explorer, but then you go back to school the next week, you're in biology lab, the professor puts that sea creature on the lab table, and it's something the man's making you do. It's part of the system. You don't want any part of it. So maybe the villain is capitalism or consumerism, but ultimately he wants you to live life and have fun. So that's about all I have for this lecture. I will see you August 24th in room 225 in Culpeper on Tuesday. See ya.